The Republicans are up to their shenanigans again. The GOP senators on the Senate Banking Committee plan to block the vote on President Biden's Federal Reserve nominees. Why? Well, ranking member of the Senate committee, Senator Pat Toomey, says his party will not participate because Democrats nominated Sarah Bloom Raskin to be the federal vice chair of supervision. They say Raskin's policy views are disqualifying. Toomey said Raskin did not answer questions about her previous employment and should not have been advanced to the Senate floor. Raskin was the Treasury Secretary in the Obama administration. Without at least one member of the minority party, the committee cannot conduct official business. On the nominee list is Dr. Lisa Cook, the economist who has been subjected to racist and sexist attacks. Let's go to the panel. Joining us tonight are Mustafa Santiago Ali, PhD, former senior advisor for environmental environmental justice, EPA, and Teresa Lundy, founder of TML Communications. Hey y'all, how y'all doing tonight?
Good, Reese, how are you?
Good, so good to be with you. So let's get right to it. This blockage is once again the Republicans trying to throw their weight around and carte blanche block nominees that are well qualified and try to exert their ideological agenda on the Biden administration. Teresa, let's start with you. One of the people that is part of the slate of nominees being held up is Dr. Lisa Cook, and there's also another Black nominee, Dr. Philip Jefferson, who was also being held up. Do you suspect that Sarah Bloom Raskin is a pretext for holding up these other historic nominees, or do you think that there's really an ideological battle going on with Sarah Bloom Raskin's nomination?
I think this is has been a longstanding history when it comes to African Americans getting into one of the highest positions. And so if we start to look at the patterns that has happened, not only throughout history, but as it relates to politics and some of the nominations that it does take for us to get a position, we'll start to see the same patterns go in the same inconsistent way when it's time for us to get on the bench. I think there is always more that they are asking of us to do. When we provide it, it is still a challenge to get across the finish line. So unfortunately, I'm not totally surprised that this is happening, but it is what it is. But I think overall, hopefully we will have the first African-American woman on the bench.
Definitely. Mustafa, you know, one thing that Republicans are good for is they're good for obstructing. What do you think about this trick of basically denying quorum so that you can't even vote on an entire slate of nominees? Also being held up is the Federal Reserve nominee, Jerome Powell. What are your thoughts on this blockage?
It's the double standard that Republicans are famous for. You know, when we were in the last administration, you know, folks allowed many of those folks to be able to move forward, even when they did not even have the the qualifications to actually hold many of these positions that were there. So now we find in this moment that they are continuing to try and stop the Biden administration from being successful by these slowdowns and these procedural ways of not allowing folks to come up for a vote. So they don't want to see President Biden to be successful. They don't want individuals of color to hold these sometimes very powerful positions. And they don't also want to see the economy to be able to move forward because they understand that if they can damage that and if they can create chaos, then it's less likely that folks will vote for the Biden administration. So it is all part of a very calculated game that they are playing out.
Mustafa, that is such an excellent point. And Teresa, picking up on that, you know, Republicans have made much ado about the inflation rate that has happened. And there are many reasons. We broke it down on Roland Martin Unfiltered plenty of times. But what do you think about the way that they are essentially obstructing a key measure or a key method of getting inflation under control, which is by using the Fed and disrupting the leadership of that? Do you think this is hypocritical for them to be attacking the administration over inflation while blocking their ability to adequately address it?
Absolutely, it's hypocritical. I mean, look, we've seen this countless of times where the GOP and the Republican Party they fixate on a specific issue, but do not allow Democrats to actually provide the tools to get us past the finish line. So I'm not surprised. I've seen more than enough specials on Fox and Friends and many other right wing shows where it's literally, an entire hour and a half filled of language, or in this case inflation, regarding, I think, chicken. And we like in terms of like, they had, it was a restaurant person in New York that said, because of the price of inflation, people will no longer have their barbecue chicken and their fried chicken. So it was a very weird conversation that I had to watch for an hour and a half. But it also tells you, the way right-wing media is willing to attack versus follow solutions.
Right.
And so when you have an administration like Biden's administration that has to tackle many other issues, but of course, the one that hits, us the hardest is inflation, but then doesn't work with the administration in order to get it done, you have to start to ask yourself, what is the real purpose of this right-wing position, and why are they doing that? So I think if we start asking ourselves those type of questions, we start to figure out the real red line in the sand of their agenda.
And that's an excellent point. And Mustafa, another area specifically on the topic of Sarah Bloom Raskin that you're familiar with is climate and kind of her advocacy there. And if we're to take Republicans at their word, part of what their issue is, they think that she'll be too much of an activist on the Fed in terms of, for instance, penalizing fossil fuel companies and doing things of that nature. Now, she said that she will not actually engage in those sorts of policies that she has advocated for. What's your take specifically on Sarah's environmental record and what you believe she'll bring to the Fed?
Well, Sarah has a strong environmental record, but we should actually have all the individuals who are holding these important offices should actually have that. She's an individual who is going to follow the law. She's going to follow the science. And she's also going to be very clear about the economic impacts and opportunities that our country has in front of it. So you want someone who's forward thinking, who's looking for those opportunities to strengthen us economically by focusing on a new clean economy, but being very clear-headed about that and making sure that that she has the facts that are necessary. So those are the types of individuals that we need. So they should actually be thankful that they have an individual like her who will be coming before them so that they could actually confirm her and be a part of history.
Yeah, excellent point. And Teresa, you touched on this a little bit earlier, and I want to revisit that. One of the big things I think we're all concerned about is potential GOP obstruction when it comes to the SCOTUS nominee. President Biden has reaffirmed that he will nominate a Black woman to the Supreme Court. She will be the first Black woman to serve if appointed and confirmed. Do you think that this is just them kind of, greasing the skids a little bit, getting people a little bit desensitized for the tricks that are to come?
You know what? You just never know what the real strategy here is. And I think that's, part of the political process, really, is, you just always have to be prepared for what's next. And so I think when we start to see, and I think when the administration start to see, some of these targets specifically on things that they know the media should actually be talking about, but some items, as it is close to midterms, that could probably resonate with the American people, that's when we really need to start looking alive and looking for solutions versus just looking, to try to fix a problem that may take 2 years, but maybe some of the, and again, this could be advice for the administration, taking some real actionable steps to kind of curb some of this obstruction that is happening.
Yeah, and Mustafa, I do think that we've seen the administration kind of going on offense in terms of bipartisan meetings with the Senate Judiciary Committee and various senators. Some people might perceive that as kind of, deferring to Republican senators, which I don't think is an accurate perception. But do you think it's important to forge these kinds of understandings and these kinds of meetings before the nominee is named? Or do you think that the Biden administration should probably speed up the process and get this ball rolling?
Well, I would always like to see the process speed up, but I was blessed that I worked for John Conyers when he was chairman of the Judiciary on the House side. So on the Senate side, of course, one, you want to make sure you're having those conversations. You want to do what you can to answer any questions that they may have. Hopefully they are actually legitimate questions that will lead them to a positive response. But the other part of it is that it also sends a message, a clear message to folks across the country that the Biden administration is doing its job. President Biden said that when the opportunity presented itself, he would try to work in a bipartisan way. So making sure that you are engaging with those Republican senators, along with the Democrats, lives up to that ideal that the president said that he would do. So they've done they're going through the process of doing their job. But we all know that the clock is ticking. And we understand that Republicans are trying to run that clock out so that they can get to the midterms. So I want to see folks do the right thing, but I also want to see the process move as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. And there have been reports of Joe Manchin saying that he would not support a later appointment if a vacancy were to come up shortly before the midterms, or if, for instance, this process dragged on. And so hopefully they will, continue these bipartisan meetings, but move towards an announcement before the end of the month.
Back to that Roland Martin unfiltered video in just one moment.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?